it going, crypto community? This is Jade the Martian back with another XRP report. In this one, we're going to be going over an article from The Guardian talking about Bank of England Governor Mark Carney saying that stockpiling dollars has become a barrier to the global trade. So, Bank of England Governor Mark Carney has challenged the dollar's position as the world's reserve currency, arguing that it could be replaced by a global digital alternative to end a savings glut that resulted in 10 years of low inflation and ultra-low interest rates. Likening the move to the end of the sterling's command of international money markets 100 years ago, Carney said the dollar had reached a level of dominance that meant it was a barrier to sustainable recovery. He said a new digital currency backed by a large group of nations would unlock dollar funds that governments currently hoard as an insurance policy in uncertain times. Governments stockpiled dollars to insure against swings in the U.S. economy, which in recent times have intensified, leading to a significant rise in the cost of borrowing. A digital currency could dampen the domineering influence of the U.S. dollar on global trade, Carney said in a speech at the gathering of central bankers from around the world in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. If the share of trade invoiced in a digital currency were to rise, shocks in the U.S. would have less potent spillovers through exchange rates, and trade would become less synchronized across countries, which is actually a good thing. So, the dollar's influence on global financial conditions could similarly decline if a financial architecture developed around a new digital currency and it displaced the dollar's dominance in credit markets. By reducing the influence of the U.S. on the global financial cycle, this would help reduce the volatility of capital flows to emerging market economies. So, the idea is this. Mark Carney's out here. This article just came out a few days ago. I'm finally able to start doing some videos since I'm visiting with my brother now, so we're going to go over a few articles that I haven't had the time to get to while I was in BFE. So the idea is this. Mark Carney is coming out saying, hey, there's a digital currency out there. I'm not going to say it by name, but it's working with a lot of nations, and it's very likely that it's going to disrupt the US dollar. Kind of like what I've been saying in my last few videos where I was just going on my tangents, right? As I like to always say, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't come to me looking for financial advice. Instead, I'm just here sharing with you articles that I've read and also my own personal opinion based upon my previous research into this marketplace. A little bit of which you can see on my channel if you're new. But with that out of the way, we're going to finish on the rest of this article and see what else little nuggets this has contained in it. But the idea ultimately is that the global economy is reaching the peak of a overextended bull market that has lasted for over 10 years now. It's the longest bull market in the history of, the stock market. And all markets eventually reverse. They all have corrections, and corrections usually result in fiscal policies meant to alleviate that. But due to the fact that we have dug ourselves as a nation continually in the debt and have not practiced sound custodialship of the world's reserve currency, that being the US dollar, the rest of the world is looking at, okay, well, how do we protect ourselves from the poor spending and printing habits of the United States Federal Reserve? Oh, well, there's these digital currencies out there. They can't be their value can't be debased by printing more, because you can't print more, and no one government's going to control, the really sound digital assets in this space, such as XRP, as many of us know, right? And so the idea stands that these central bankers are now openly discussing that there will be a new digital currency that displaces the dollar. And so the question is, what is that digital currency? What currency are they going to adopt to displace the dollar's dominance in the global markets? Well, there's only one that I know of that's working with nations. Does anybody else know anybody else that's working with most of the nations of the world? Especially the central bankers? I don't know. I'm only aware of Ripple, but if you know of another one, please put it in the comments section below so that we can all enjoy, right? At any rate, the rest of the article concludes as such. The Chinese currency, the renminbi, has been cited as an alternative to the dollar along with proposed digital currencies such as Facebook's Libra. Carney said neither was in a position to take over from the dollar, but new technologies could allow for a global digital currency to challenge the U.S. currency. Digital currencies have attracted the attention of central banks in the past years as the prospect of mobile business and consumer transaction have become more popular. Many people around first world countries have probably witnessed, to speak to this, as banks have been shutting their doors, and my banks actually shut multiple branches and are now repositioning themselves so that their banks are within certain mile range of each other, as opposed to the idea before is just put one in every major city. Now you don't need one. Now you just need a bank where people are going to go on a very rare occasion for something that has to be done in person, say having a personal a box at the bank for whatever personal valuables that you'd rather store there than at your own home, right? So at any rate, the article continues on. Earlier this year, the Bank of England welcomed Facebook's Libra initiative, which was seen as a challenge to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. Bank officials said the initiative, which was backed by several banks, could be a useful addition to trading goods and services. A succession of central banks have criticized Libra, however, saying it lacks the rules and regulations to be a reliable currency. The European Commission opened an antitrust investigation into Libra earlier this week, saying it feared a private digital currency could be unfairly disadvantage rivals and be open to abuse. So, in what appears to be a warmer response to Libra, Carney said retail transactions are taking place increasingly online rather than on the high street and through electronic payments over cash. The most high profile of these has been Libra, a new payments infrastructure based on an international stablecoin fully backed by reserve assets in a basket of currencies including the US dollar, the euro, and sterling. It could be exchanged between users on messaging platforms and with participating retailers. There are a host of fundamental issues that Libra must address, though, ranging from privacy to operational resilience. In addition, depending on its design, it could have It could have substantial implications for both monetary and financial stability. Carney said the UK economy was suffering from several years of underinvestment, mostly in response to the uncertainty around Brexit. A further deterioration in GDP growth could force the bank's Monetary Policy Committee to cut interest rates, he said. Carney would be minded to cut in the event of a downturn brought on by a no-deal departure from the EU. And I believe this is how the article concludes. And so the idea is that the global monetary system, as it stands, based upon the fiat system, is in a dire strait. It's between a rock and a hard place right now. And ultimately, the only path that seems to be available to these central bankers is to transition from a fiat currency to a digitally backed. And to be completely frank, I believe this is more so the reason why Libra is not so well received by the financial institutions, because it's literally Facebook trying to release their own currency that will be identical to a fiat in every way, and therefore it will embody all the same issues that traditional fiats have had, which is no good to anybody as an investor. So the idea stands that instead of, adopting something that's basically, that's as quick as blockchain but has all the faults of fiat, let's adopt an actual blockchain currency that's going to have a lot more protections that we don't have with fiats for a large decentralized user base. The idea being that the most attractive currency to any one nation, especially a nation that's not the leader in the world economy, is going to be a currency that the leaders can't control, that nobody controls, that's just, again, decentralized, right? That's the whole point of a decentralized currency. So, with that said, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you enjoyed my content. And if you really enjoyed it, I hope you'll hit that bell and stay tuned for all the rest of my content here on the Martian Report. As I said before, this is the first day I actually have good internet in a while, so I'm going to hopefully be pumping out quite a few videos over the next few days. So, hope you all enjoy it, and as always, see all of you on Mars.